Neil, welcome to Arrow
Thanks.
Presents. We're here today to talk about IBM technical support services, but more importantly, the importance of recurring revenue streams. So given your experience, years around services business, working with clients, various industries, what's the value of investing in recurring revenue streams?
So I think it's worth having a look at what are recurring revenue streams, because recurring revenue streams have been around for centuries. In 1904, Gillette invented the recurring revenue stream, or the more modern recurring revenue stream, when they brought out the disposable razor or the razor blades that were replaced.
Yeah.
So recurring revenue comes in four forms. You have consumables like the razor blades, like the printed cartridges, that kind of thing. It comes in subscriptions like Netflix, like Amazon, like Reader's Digest used to be. It comes in after market services like technical support services like maintenance, and in financing. So those are the four areas of recurring revenue, and throughout the last few decades, companies have been working out how do they develop more of a recurring revenue stream.
Okay. So Neil, given the target audience and what you've just said, what's the value of our actual partners, our resellers, investing their time and energy into recurring revenue streams?
And that's a really good question, and it's one that definitely goes on in the minds of resellers and any business actually that's thinking about how do they switch from product sales to recurring revenue. And there are two types. There are tactical and strategic reasons. The tactical reasons are all about the monthly business, the monthly flow of the business or the quarterly flow of the business. So investing in recurring revenue gives you business resilience. It gives you the ability to be able to look forward and see that you've got a steady revenue flow coming in. You're not having to rely on product spikes where you're having to sell something to get cash in. You've got this regular cash coming in, so it gives you some strength of business resilience. And interesting, when you look at the analysis that was done around recurring revenue, what we find is that companies that have a high investment in recurring revenue streams, so they've got a high amount of recurring revenue coming in, when there is a hit, a business impact in the business environment, or just their sales aren't doing very well, their profit isn't hit. So that gives them that strength of business resilience. Clearly there's a cash flow benefit because you've got cash coming in regularly rather than these big hits of cash coming in, which is much better for business planning point of view. And then the last reason is it develops stronger and longer client relationships because you've got a reason to be there.
A reason to open the door and go and talk to your client.
Correct. Yeah. And you've got an ongoing discussion with them. Yeah. So it builds those stronger relationships. Yeah. And it means they're there longer because typically a maintenance contract or a services contract is 3 years.
Cool. So that's that tactical reason. But from a strategic perspective, what would your view be?
Yeah, strategically, it's very relevant to people that own resellers, or if a reseller is listed on the exchange. It's relevant, and what was interesting, IBM asked a financial analysis company to put together a white paper on recurring revenue to see what the real financial benefit was to investing in recurring revenue. And there were three main benefits. The first one was it increased the value of the business. So when investors are looking at the business, if you're a listed company, it increased the PE ratio, so it increased the value of the stock, it increased the value of on the stock market. The second thing was if it was a private company, the valuation of that company was an increased multiple. And the third thing was, from a borrowing point of view, you could borrow at a lower interest rate. So people that were investing in debt, they would invest in companies that had higher recurring revenue streams, and that meant that the interest rates were lower. So there were some real benefits to, the CFO, CEO, CXO type environment as well, of having high recurring revenue streams.
That's all really interesting points actually, and I think you're kind of alluding to the fact of almost like the end user there and our partners, clients, if you like. So from a client perspective, what do you believe that the client needs from the actual reseller to help them to develop, grow their recurring revenue stream?
So the client, from a customer, the benefits to the customer.
From a customer perspective.
So if we think about the benefits to a customer, why would they buy maintenance services or availability type services? And it is as simple as it helps maintain their business. It helps support their service to their end user. So if you have an outage, you're either going to lose business because you can't carry on your business. You know, if you're running an insurance company and you can't take telephone calls, you can't sign up business. If you're running a manufacturing and you've got lorries waiting outside for stuff to come off the product line, you're incurring costs. There's been big headlines around systems going down, especially in the financial industry or in British Airways when their network went down and no one could check in. So you've got these massive brand hits, big brand impacts, big impacts on their bottom line, and the ongoing reputation is hit significantly. So you reducing outages or unwanted outages is really important, and by having a solid maintenance contract, solid services contract in place, it helps them with that. It helps them manage their costs down, because if they're managing their maintenance contracts better, or they've got a solid maintenance company running those contracts, then they're going to have less outages, they're going to need fewer people to manage them, and it reduces costs there. And it gives them flexibility around choice, because with the services that you are selling through your resellers, it gives them the choice of going to other manufacturers other than the vendor to allow them to let a product go past the end of warranty and sweat the asset in effect. Yeah. So there's some real benefits to clients to investing in maintenance services. So that's my view on and my experience of the benefit to clients. But what's your experience of the best resellers? What do they do?
I think it's understanding the client and being close to the client and client satisfaction. I think that's key. And in my experience, obviously partners that are successful are partners that are on top of their renewals.
Renewals are key in any successful services business. And what we found in the white paper that was put together by Edison, the financial analysis company, was that, and they did a model, they modelled a classic reseller. What they found was the reseller that had a 20% churn rate, so they lost 20% of their renewals every year, versus the reseller that lost 10% of their renewals every year, their EBITDA in this model over a 5-year period was doubled. So the company that lost less doubled their EBITDA. So it wasn't just an incremental, it doubled their EBITDA, and they had to sell half as much to keep that EBITDA growth. Yeah. So the renewal management it's like the foundation. It's like the water of, you have to have it to be able to succeed in the services business. And as we talked about earlier, the relationships and what you just said about being close to the client, it brings you close, because when you're doing those renewals, it gives you another point of contact to talk to them.
Exactly, totally agree. So Neil, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming along. Really
Pleasure.
Interesting, really insightful conversation. Just before we go, any last thoughts, closing comments?
So I think I'd just like to leave the listeners, the people watching this with one thought. After 30 years of being in this industry, and especially in the services business, and working in so many different markets as well, and so many different industries, I know personally, and I've seen it, and having worked with some of the resellers that you work with, that those that invest in their services business, those that invest in their recurring revenue, are the ones that are still here, the ones that are resilient, and the ones that are successful.
So thanks, Neil. Thanks for your time. Really interesting. If you would like to find out more about how to develop your recurring revenue stream and build some real business resilience, then please reach out to me directly, and I'll be more than happy to tell you how Arrow can help.